You're listening to the Mike Harding podcast from BBC Radio 2.
Now, my guest this week is one of Ireland's greatest singers and musicians ever, in my humble opinion. She's the lead singer of Dervish, and she's introduced the music of our home country to audiences around the world. Her name is, of course, Cathy Jordan, and I was really excited when I found out that Cathy's just finally finished her first solo album, a project that has been more than 20 years in the making. I think it's an absolutely fantastic CD. It's full of songs that were learned during her childhood in County Roscommon. And I managed to catch up with Cathy in Salford when we were there for the Folk Awards a few weeks back. And you can hear the chat we had after this. The beautiful voice of Cathy Jordan with a very, very sweet traditional Irish song, Old Ballymoe.
In the County Roscommon, in hailstones and rain, I was crossing the fields on my way to the train. I met a Carolina, says she, do you know what's the shortest shortcut into Old Ballymoe? Says I, Carolina, what'll I do astray? I think I'll go with you and show you the way. Says she, I'm not willing.
Well, from one of my favourite albums of this year, Cathy Jordan there with Old Ballymoe, the album All the Way Home. And I've dragged the lass into the studio here for a bit of a natter. Got a meal, Margaret.
No, it's a fault.
Thanks ever so much for coming in and having
No
a chat
bother.
with us. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
It's a beautiful album from beginning to end.
It was a long time gestating.
20 years, was it, or more?
Well, I suppose because it's songs from my parents, it's
Longer
more
than
than
that,
that.
yeah.
I didn't want to make just another album of traditional songs only without Dervish. I mean, that would be pointless. You know, same thing with different musicians.
Yeah.
I wanted it to speak to me in some way, you know, to have some connection with me heartstrings. And those songs, or a lot of them, they were kind of the soundtrack of
your life.
Growing up on that. And they seem to get louder and louder, particularly when the characters in your story, you know, pass on and die, and
the songs have a bigger relevance.
They do, they absolutely do. And when you hear them, they're really poignant. So, but I didn't want them to be just other versions of the same thing, you know, or I didn't want them to sound the same as people might be familiar with them sounding. So I drafted in the help of my great friend Roger Tallroth from Sweden. And he's an amazing musician from Sweden who plays with Face, and I've sang with him on numerous occasions, and it always struck me how close he was to the singer, and how he allowed the voice of the singer to breathe, you know. So so I asked him to produce it. He produced it and arranged.
And you recorded it in Sweden?
I suppose 3/4 of it was done in Sweden, and the rest was done in Leitrim. Right. Hamilton and Leitrim.
And you get some rubbish musicians, of course, playing with you, like Mike McGoldrick and Shamie O'Dowd, Rick Epping.
Andy Irvine. It's just amazing. When it came together, everything seemed like the gods conspired to make everything that I wanted for it, all my wishes for the album to kind of come true. Roger was free to produce it. And all those musicians were free to play on it and available, you know. Eddie Reader, I met her one night and she said, I told her I had an album coming out, and she said, why am I on it? And so I said, it's not too late, she said, send me the tracks. So I sent her a song, and we had an amazing recording session down in Galway, and I think you're going to play the track that the two of us were on. She's just amazing. I mean, I don't know Eddie that very long, but when we met in Sligo Live, we were like sisters separated at birth or something. We had the same.
She's a great character. I mean, the minute you meet her, if she bonds with you, you're there for life with her.
She's just amazing.
And she's so full of joy with everything. She's so enthusiastic about absolutely
everything. And that
everything.
soaring voice, you know, she's just amazing. And she can sing in any genre at all. She came to a house party
music,
and she just shone until, you know, she could shine no more, like just the sun was shining.
I want to play the track in a moment. It's a beautiful track, and I love the treatment that you've done with it, because there's that very delicate beginning that just lulls you into it. It draws you in.
Well, the idea was kind of driftwood, if you're out, you know, like kind of on a raft, and all this kind of sounds you'd hear, you know, like the
the waves
water
lapping the side of the boat. Yeah.
Sun gleaming in through kind of water, and you know, so that was the idea. And I think, it was beautiful to have her there. And it's a kind of a call answer. It's the man having a dream about Eileen McMahon that he meets, and she kind of represents Ireland as well as this beauty that is lamenting. So it's kind of what they call an ashling, or a dream.
A dream song.
Yeah, a dream.
Ashling Gyal.
Yeah.
Right.
And I asked her the cause of her woe. She said, I'm only an exile from Erin, the land where the green shamrock grows.
My name, it is Eileen McMahon. My age, it is scarcely 18.
Wonderful voices there, Cathy Jordan, and of course Eddie Reader with Eileen McMahon. That's from the new album All the Way Home, and I'm talking to Cathy in the studio. The feel of this album is that it's going home. A lot of these songs you learnt from relatives, from your family. And they would be learning them at sort of house parties, at christening or a baptism, as you should say. And even things like the stations, when the Stations of the Cross would be done in the house. And your mother would be scrubbing the house for a fortnight and disinfecting everything.
Smell of paint.
And the neighbours would be in and you'd all be there.
Yeah.
And singing was a generic part of all of this, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, the painting and the mass and everything else was just a stepping stone to the party, you know. It was just a way to accommodate the party happening, you know. We'd all get together and sing.
This is the thing that I wonder whether it's gone completely or not. I don't know. I sing to my grandchildren still. And my grandmother sang to me. She was from Dublin. Well, I had two grandmas, one from Tip and one from Dublin. And she always sang to me. And that's where I learnt my first songs. I wonder if people still sing to their children.
That was another reason I wanted to put those songs on an album, is because my nieces and nephews have never heard any of them. But they were common, you know, at one point, and then just lost to a generation. So it seemed very important to me to have it that they're recorded, and for them, for their legacy and for their children, you know, that they at least have heard them sung, you know.
Yeah.
We do as much singing as we can to them, but I mean, there's much more influences now.
That's right.
You know,
the internet and
exactly. I mean, back then it was the crackling of the fire was the only, you know, interruption. Yeah. So it was much easier to absorb everything.
It was something that lingered longer in Ireland than in England, I think. I think Scotland still had the tradition in the houses and the homes of singing and making music. I mean, I remember going to Ireland for the first time and being amazed at the fact that you'd be sitting in a pub and somebody just take a tin whistle out and away the session would go.
Yes.
I mean, it used to happen in Manchester, but in Manchester it was organised. You'd all meet in a certain pub. All the Irish musicians would get in. In Ireland, it just seems to go and happen everywhere and anywhere at any time. Yeah. And it's handed on.
There's a lot of people that you speak to, and when I was telling them about this album, that the songs that Mammy and Daddy used to sing, and they say, "You mean sing-song songs?" Yeah, that's exactly what I mean, sing-song songs. Yeah.
When was Harmony Hill released?
It was 1991 it came out.
Was that Dervish's first?
There was an album before that, an instrumental album, which really doesn't matter because I wasn't on it.
Yeah, it was Harmony Hill.
It was the period BC, Mike, before Cathy. Yes. There was one, and that was only supposed to be a one-off, but they got such reaction to it.
But Harmony Hill, I remember buying from the only music shop in Sligo.
The record room,
just come out, the record room, and I got it there. And he said, "They're playing in Shoot the Crows tonight."
Oh, yeah.
And I wandered across the road, and that's when I first met you all, and I got the banjo in, and we had an whole session. I Shoot the Crows. If people don't know, it's hard to describe, but they used to paint the window every week with a different, beautiful design on it. It could be from Irish mythology or anything, and it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. One of the great little session houses, I think, in Ireland.
Absolutely, and he's been amazing to music over the years, you know. Yeah. He's, you know, recession or no recession, he keeps the music going, you know, 2 and 3 nights a week, and he's great.
So if you're ever in Sligo town, 2 places you've got to go. You've got to go to Shoot the Crows, and you've also got to see the brass plaque on the wall that says Argue and Fibs.
Oh,
Solicitors.
Yes, solicitors, yeah.
That's absolutely true. Argue, Fibs is spelled P-H-I, double BS. Cathy, go to Milmahugger. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you so much.
It's been great chatting with you. We could go on forever, and I'm sure we will. But we've got places to go. Talking of which places to go all the way home, you describe it somewhere as the album. You said you were running away in search of something, and it was under your nose all the time.
Yes.
That's it. Let's hear it all the way home. Thanks a lot.
Maybe it's the mountains high above the valley. Maybe it's the long road that winds on down. Maybe it's the sunbeams that kiss the water. Maybe it's you that keeps calling me home. Maybe it's the mountains high above the valley. Maybe it's the
Cathy Jordan there with All the Way Home from the CD of the same name. 20 years in the making, but I think it's been worth the wait.